Hi, y'all. I'm really glad to have you back here today. Hope y'all are all doing well. Of course, you can tell by the title that today I'm going to be making an apple pie. And we'll be also making a homemade pie crust. As the season gets cooler, we start thinking about more of the fall flavors. And my husband, excuse me, whenever my children were little and they were like in elementary school and beginning before we started homeschooling, and they would go on field trips to the apple orchard. We used to have an apple orchard not far from here, and now it's a subdivision, which to me is sad, but we would always, when we'd go, my husband would say, make sure to get apples so you can make me an apple pie. And as soon as the weather would start to get a little bit cooler, he'd always tell me, up until he passed away, he would always say, make me an apple pie. And it came across my memories on Facebook the other day where I had made him one. I can't remember now if it was a year or two before he passed away. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make an apple pie in his honor. So that's what we're going to do today. Apple pie was his second favorite pie. His first favorite was pumpkin pie that was his grandmother's recipe. And I cannot make that one for you because I had promised my mother-in-law that I would not share that recipe with anyone besides my children. And then they'll carry it on their children. It's to be passed down through the generations. So that's not a recipe I can share with you. But I can share the apple pie with you. All right, so let's go ahead and I'll turn you down. The first thing we're going to do is get working on that crust. I'm sorry, y'all, my voice, this weather, when it changes, it just goes. I put a cough drop in. I have me some water here in case it starts to dry out or something. It will help. Let me push you back a little bit more so you can see. There we go. Okay, I have about 2 sticks of butter. Now, some people say, oh, you want them cold, and that does work best, but it's going to be harder to cut them up if it is. And I know a lot of people do it in their food processor, and if my hand starts to hurt too bad with my arthritis, I may switch to that. But I just have always liked to do it the old-fashioned way. I have this old pastry cutter that I had it as long as I can remember. So I'm sure I probably picked it up at a yard sale, or my father-in-law had this second-hand business where he would clean out people's basements and garages, and he called it hauling jobs, and so I may have even gotten it from there. All right, I am going to take the flour. This is all-purpose flour, and I'm just going to stir it up a little bit and loosen it up a little bit to get just, a little air into it so it's not packed down. And we want about 2 1/4 cups. Now, I'm not one for taking a knife and leveling off and all of that. Okay, let me get it in here. Just go ahead and stir that round to sift it. So make sure there are not any clumps in it. Couldn't tell if there was something in there. Sometimes, this is so old, sometimes little pieces of that metal want to flake off in there. And I just pick it out. And yes, I know it's old and I might get lead poisoning, but you know what? I've been using that and things like that for a long time and haven't got sick. I think you really have to ingest a lot. I know you have to be careful of the old paint like when I was a kid, because and this will make the second cup of flour. And actually we're going to use about 2 1/4 cups because those were extremely full of lead, and you did have to definitely be careful with that, because children would, you know, pick the paint off and eat it, especially if they had a vitamin deficiency in something. And sometimes like there's a piece of flour there that's clumped up that's just not going to come out. Let me take that out and put it to the side. Okay. Now we want about 1/4 cup of flour. Using anywhere from like 1/4 to 1/2. And another good reason to sift your flours, because because if your flour is old, and this is what they especially did in the old days. Of course, most of the time their flour didn't get old, but may have come old from the store, and they did not have cooler temperatures. But anyway, what I was saying, a good reason to sift it is because sometimes you can get those little weevils in there, and you can sift those out, and it's still safe to eat. Like in the old days, as I started to say, I got my thoughts all scattered around there. They did not have, you know, air conditioning like we have, so the weevils are in your flour, or the eggs or things are kind of in there naturally. We just don't know that. And if the flour gets warm, then they will start, I guess little eggs or whatever it is. I'm not smart on that kind of stuff. They'll start to hatch and come out. And that was another reason that they always sifted it. Most of our flour now is actually pre-sifted. But since I don't use a lot, I like to sift mine. Plus it adds air into it, and that helps make things fluffier. All right, so now we're going to start with 1 stick of butter, and we're going to use 2 sticks. So it's going to be a total of 1 cup to begin with. Or not begin with, we're only going to use 1 cup. And I want to kind of cube it, so I want to cut it down the middle. And then just kind of cut this down the middle. My hands are clean because I did wash them before I started. Okay, now cut this one down the middle. As you can tell, it doesn't have to be precise because my things are never precise. Okay, I'm going to bring those all together and then just cut it in little cubes. Some of this doesn't want to cut through. There we go. Push them off there. I said kind of push them off there. You might not have heard that. I had my head down and I wasn't speaking real loud. Sometimes I just don't speak loud. I'm going to go ahead and spread some of these around. My table's clean too because I bleached it down before I began. I know y'all probably think, oh, she's using bleach too, but hey, I've done that for years too, and I'm still living and kicking. I just think bleach does a lot better job than anything else. So many things that we did back in the day that now they're saying not to do. And then I know at one point there are things that like we did when I was young and they said not to do, and now those things are coming back around. Remember, save your butter wrappers. All right. Let me wipe my hands off here. And I am going to go ahead and cut this butter in with the pastry cutter. Now let me show you if you never took home ec. Hold on just a moment. If you don't have a food processor, you don't have a pastry cutter, And if you do not take home ec in school to learn this, I'll lay that aside for a moment. You take 2 knives. Just take your 2 of these case knives, butter knives, whatever you want to call them, and just kind of like crisscross and cut that all in until it's smooth. That's one way. Another way is you can just use your hands. Use your fingers. I'm one of those people, I don't like my hands to get dirty. It's just a thing I have. My hands, once they get dirty, I want to wash them. But you can just do like this. Just rub it all in. Break it all up that way. Okay, y'all, I've got to clean my hands off. Oh, I know a lot of cooks. I remember Paula Dean used to say your hands are the best thing God gave you. And I don't mind using them, but after a while I think, ugh, this feels yucky. So I have this. I will use this. But honestly, your hands would probably be, of all the ones, if you don't have a food processor, your hands may be a little bit easier as you go. Especially if you have problems with your hands. I'm going to go through here every so often. I'll just go through here and clean it off. Just get that mixed up. I am going to go ahead and so you don't have to just keep watching this. I am going to pause you until I get the other one mixed up or about mixed up. All right, I am now going through it and just making sure, since I'm not using the processor, making sure as much of this can be is crumbled up in there. Of course, you're not going to have it all super, super smooth. Just going through and making sure. And I did put the second thing of butter in there. There's one, some of the butter clumped together, so I need to break that up. Okay, y'all been doing okay? I hope so. We had some cool days, but it's supposed to start getting warm again. I love those days when I can put up my windows and not have to have the air conditioning on. All right, well, got like a little clump there. All right, let me go ahead and wipe my hands off real good. All right, now next to this, you know, a pie crust takes patience. Of course, like I said, you can put in a food processor. One thing I forgot was fork. I'll be right back. All right, so we are wanting to put in, we're going to start with about 4 tablespoons of water. And you want this to be ice water. Have you some water with some ice in it. And just stir it around. We want to do it until it kind of comes together. Make sure you get all this moistened as good as you can. And honestly, you could really start with about 6 tablespoons of water. Okay, I am going to add about 2 more. Oh, I don't know how much I got in there then. I'm going to say that was probably about another tablespoon or 2. So we're going to say we have anywhere from 7 to 8 there. I didn't realize that that was pouring in there. So we have about 7 or 8. And because, you know, every flour and every brand has different textures, that's why you can't be, you know, a precise measurement on it there. I can't tell you I'll put this many in. You'll just have to yours. Start with about 4 to 6 tablespoons and then add about 1 tablespoon at a time. And you can still, while you're doing it, try to press some more of that butter in there. You could also use shortening. You don't have to use butter, you know, if it would be cheaper on you. Get that cube out of there. I don't want that ice cube. Okay, I'm going to say that's about roughly, I have roughly about 9 tablespoons of water in there. You don't want it too wet. You just want it to try to come together. Now that I have about 9 in there, I'm going to take my hands and kind of work it and see how it does when I push it together. If it's starting to form a ball when I push it together. I'm going to say about 1 more tablespoon of water in here. Now I think just a little bit more. There we go. So I probably have roughly 11 in there, 11, 12. And I think that's going to about get it. Just kind of get this all together. You want it kind of into a ball. If it won't quite come to a ball, you may need a little bit more water. And that's where you just may have to take your hands, sprinkle a little in, like mine. If you see all that down there, I think I'm just going to take my hands and just sprinkle a little there. Okay, and then kind of get that together and add it to it. And I think that's about has it. Now, since this is going to make us 2 crust, I'm going to take it out here and let me put some flour down here first. So it won't stick to my table. Just try and make this much of a ball as I can, make it kind of even. Then I want to cut it in half. I'm not sure that's quite even, but I'll use the larger half for the bottom and the smaller half for the top. Now what I'm going to do is, let me get the plastic wrap. I got it out, but forgot to put it over here. Got it out of my drawer. I tell you what, I'm just batting 100 today, haha. Really batting that 100. Just get the plastic wrap out. Wrap up each half. Now, if you had your pie filling made already, you could go ahead and probably do that, but it is best to wait until it gets, let me go ahead and roll it out. But it's actually best to wait until it gets cold, because when it's cold, it will roll out so much better. All right, I'll bring you back after I get a little bit of this cleaned up, and then we'll start doing the apple pie filling. Hey y'all, let me come back and say this, and hopefully I'll repeat it again when we get ready to roll out the crust. But one thing I forgot to mention is in my pie crust I use salted butter, And if you want, you can add a few more grains of salt, but I did not do that and I didn't want to. But if you use unsalted butter, definitely put just a few pinches, maybe a quarter to a half teaspoon of salt, okay? All right, y'all, I'm back. I have already peeled and sliced up about 6 apples. These are Granny Smith. I like to use Granny Smith or Jonathan. If you don't want them to turn dark on you, you can put a little bit of lemon juice and toss them in there, but I don't do that. I don't mind them being brown. Now, this is another apple. This is the 7th apple, and I am going to show you just how I slice it. I just kind of do like that. You don't want them super thin, but you don't want them thick either. And I just go around, as go from the bottom to the top and just work my way around as I go. And I keep doing that, keep going round and round from bottom to top until I get to the core. And that's about all I have to do there. You definitely do not want the core in there. Now, you may want to be one of those people that have a thing that will core your apples for you. I had one time, and I don't know, I didn't like it. And maybe it just didn't work right because I did get it at a yard sale. All right. Now, if you have large apples, you don't need as many. All right, so go ahead and do that. Then the next thing I want to do is sprinkle some flour on it. And I think I'll just use my hand to get some and sprinkle it that way. I say maybe 1/4 cup or so, maybe not even quite that much. It all depends. We'll go ahead. Oh, I need to get my cinnamon out. Just a moment. Sure sounds like I need to spray my cabinet doors with some WD-40. They're squeaking. Okay, I just kind of look at it and eyeball it. I think I want just a hair more, just a little pinch more. Then to that next, I am going to sprinkle some cinnamon. Say maybe about couple of teaspoons, and that again, it's your preference how much of the taste of cinnamon you want. I actually like mace in mine also, but I am out of mace. I need to remember to buy some. I've been out for a while, I think ever since last winter, so I do need to remember to buy some. All right, next we're going to add some brown sugar. And the brown sugar, and then we're going to add milk. The brown sugar and the milk's what's going to have that caramel flavor. Now, my brown sugar here is dark. I actually prefer light brown sugar. But the day I bought this, that was all they had, the store I went to that day. And I thought, you know what, that's fine. Now, I'm going to put in roughly about 3/4 to a cup of brown sugar. I don't know how much this little thing holds. It looks like maybe a 1/2 cup or so. I'm not sure. And again, I will stir it around and see what it looks like to me. Now, if you want it really sweet, you want to put more because, these apples are tart. And if you don't want it very sweet, then you can put less. I'm used to looking at this with light brown sugar, but I think that's good because I don't need it real sweet anyway. I may add a smidgen more. When it comes to just eating apples, I prefer the red delicious apples for eating. All right. Sweep that off my floor later. Next, I want to add in some milk. Stir that around. I'll get it moistened really, really well. I'm going to say maybe, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 cup of milk, roughly. Like again, you know, okay, I just go by looks usually. I think a little bit more. I like to have just a little bit of juice at the bottom. Try just a tad more here. Looks like these over here are a little dry. Okay, I think that about has it. You see how there's a little bit of juice down there in the bottom? I don't know if you can see that. So that looks good to me. All right. Now the next thing we want to do is, let me put this out of my way. I just strode some flour all over that way, but that's okay. I'll clean it up. Okay, you want to put some butter. Just cut your little butter around it. I don't know how, I didn't see what this was when I started to let you know about how much I'll use. I think it had about not even quite a tablespoon taken off it. I'm not sure. I'd say use roughly maybe half a stick. We'll see after I stir it around about what is left, and then we'll know. I like to do little chunks and then stir it at a time. Because if you use little chunks and stir it at a time, then you can see about how much you are getting into there. I think that looks about good. So let me see, I had 2.5 tablespoons left over, and I probably started 3.5 left over. So yeah, I put about, let me see, how many tablespoons are in here? Anyway, I put about 3.5 to 4.5 tablespoons of butter in it. All right, now we are going to set this aside while we work on our, I guess I got brown sugar in this pie pan. While we work on our pie crust, let me get it out of the fridge. Oh, I forgot to get this thing out. Okay, I had to collect my, I had to collect, oh, I dropped that one. I'm sure glad that was in plastic wrap. Anyway, I had to collect my rolling pin on the way. Okay. All right, I am going to put some wax paper out here. And we'll see if I need to do another layer or not. Okay, I think they'll be good. May go over it a little. All right. Go ahead and put some flour down. I'll leave this here. I may need it. All right. Spread some flour here on the wax paper. And then just try to work this with my hands a little bit to get warmed up a little. Make this half into a ball a little bit more. Make it a little rounded more. I don't know if you heard me or not. I need to remember to talk a little louder. Anyway, you need to try to make this into a ball and kind of warm it up just a little bit. And then we can get started. Well, I push it down some first with the heel of my hand there. So just push it down with the heel of your hand. All right, now we will start taking our rolling pin, put a little bit of this flour on it, and start in the middle and roll one direction, roll another direction, turn your paper, come one direction, and we're going to kind of take this and even it up there. So even that up. Go the other direction. All right, now we can just kind of do like this for a minute, and then we'll go back to turning the paper in a minute. Just takes a lot of work and elbow grease, and just put your body into it because that butter is cold. And we can keep turning paper or do like I do sometimes and move our bodies. And if you see we're starting to get really uneven, try to make it even some. Try to even it up. Now, if you've already done a pie crust and you know how, then by all means you can just skip over to the pie, or if you don't want to make the crust, just skip on over to putting the pie in the crust. The goal is to try to get it rounded. But I tell you what, I'm not the best at doing this and getting it rounded, so sometimes that doesn't work the best for me. Some people, I have a friend who she can do it beautifully. But I think I've told y'all before, I can sure make food taste good, but I'm not real good at making it look good. Okay, you see, I'm taking this and I'm pushing, there was a gap there, and I'm pushing down and headed towards that gap to close it up. Do the same thing here, and then just kind of go back and forth there. And I'll bring some more toward it. Kind of close that gap and that hole up the best you can. Like I said earlier, it takes patience. Now, I'll just be honest. I did not make a lot of homemade pie crust when my children were at home, for the simple fact that I need lots of times to get things done and get them done in a hurry. You know, when you have quite a few children, things just take a lot of time sometimes, and you run out of time. Occasionally I would, depends on what all else was going on that day, or then there was time when I had to, because I just didn't have the extra money to buy the pie crust. I'd have to make homemade ones. Tortillas. I made homemade tortillas a lot. There was a point in time when my husband was in and out of the hospital, and we got those commodities, and we got a lot of flour on them, and so I used those and made tortillas a lot instead of buying bread. You know, like you could use them in place of your light bread. You could, you know, put your peanut butter and jelly on there and everything. That was when they were pretty young. Okay. So I'm going to keep going and keep doing this. You see how I'm doing it? And I'll bring it back when I'm finished. All right. Now, I don't know if you can see this real good. Let me see if I can move it back a little. Okay, there. You got that. But I'm going to take my pie dish, and I'm just going to kind of set it here. I don't have it quite down on it. And I make sure there's plenty of room around. Then I'm going to imagine about where the halfway mark is. Put my rolling pin there. Flip my paper over. Just kind of gather it up. And then put it in about the midway point of this pie pan. Okay. Then I'll pull this paper away best I can. Hold on to the stuff there. Get it there. Then I can lay this down and finish this one. Do it the same with it. That way, get that on there. And pull it towards me some. Till I get it all kind of in there. Want that pie crust in there real good. Push it down. It's overflapping there quite a bit, so I am going to try to go that way. Just kind of inch it over. Now, I have this little handy tool here. I think I got this from Pampered Chef. I'm not sure. Not endorsing anybody. And I am going to take it and just kind of come in here and press to make sure it's getting in there good and it's laying down inside of the dish real good. Lying down. I'm really using some incorrect grammar today, boy. Okay. And it's just kind of like some places I have to feel. If they feel thicker than other places, you want to try to make it about the same, then just roll it. And you could also use a little cup or just use your hands. Like here, I'm using my thumbs to push up to even it out, to make sure it's not too thick in one area. You gotta realize too that a homemade pie crust is not going to be exactly like and perfect like the ones that are in the store, because you know you do not have machines doing this and making everything come out perfect for you. Now my husband would say, oh, leave that as thick as you can get it. He loved thick, thick crust. So I'm just, if you see here, I'm coming this direction. And just kind of go up and kind of feel if you should happen to get a spot that tears a little, just pinch it all back together. All right, now got a little spot there. I have a little spot here I don't have much on, so I am going to tear a piece off from over here and kind of just add it there. You see that? Just kind of add it and pinch it on there. Some of that still feels a little thick there. All right. Now I'm just going to take my knuckle, kind of push, and then squeeze here with these fingers. Whoops, that made a hole. I don't want any kind of little holes in there. Kind of push up and squeeze, push up and squeeze, push up and squeeze, all the way around. Push up with that knuckle and then put top here and the bottom kind of down here and squeeze up a little. That's what I'm doing around here at the edge. That there feels a little thick, so I need to fix that. All right, now I am going to put my pie filling in this. Going to give it a stir again and spin a little bit. Now, as I go, I will be looking at that juice, and I may leave some of it back in the bowl if it seems like I have too much. Because sometimes I will get a little bit too much juice. And plus the apples, the sugar's pulling some of the juice of the apples out as you go. So I think it's looking okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it off. Pour that juice over it. And finish scraping out my bowl. Okay. Must have a bad spot in that apple I missed. Get that out. Looked like maybe it was a little piece of a seed. Okay, now let me set this down over here. Kind of smooth this all out and kind of even it out. That's what we want to do here. And you know, like your apples, if it comes to it and you don't have quite enough for in here, then just cut you a few more apples and kind of stir them around gently within the pie pan. If you have too much, just spread your pie crust that's going to go out on top. Spread it out more, you know, roll it out more to make it pile up on top. Oh, that looks like a seed too. Got some seeds in there somehow. Okay. Move that butter over some. All right. Now, I am going to go ahead and roll out the other, looks like I got a little bit of the pie piece of one of the apples flew over there in pie crust. So that's going to give that top crust some flavor. Oh, I forgot to show you what I do here. Now, after I have it in here, I am going to go ahead and just cut around. Put my knife right up against there and cut around the edges. Get off that extra dough. And you could fry up this extra dough, you know, just take it and fry it up as a little snack. I better watch how I do that. I'm going to scratch my table up and then wonder how it got done that way. Okay, go around, just kind of feel, see if you have any extra you need to get rid of. And then just kind of, let me see, there's some here. Get all that extra dough away from there. Just kind of run your hands around it. Okay, feels like there's still some extra there. All right, so I am going to go ahead and do the other pie crust now. Roll it out and get it ready to lay on top. See y'all back in a little bit. Right, I'm back. I'm back now, and this time I'm not going to take the paper with it because do not want to try to get it out from under the paper on top of the pie filling. Let me pull this over to me. Lay this down. I may have to pick it up and adjust it. There we go. Now we're just going to take and kind of fold it under and tuck it to where it's right, kind of like under the edge. Do you see what I'm doing here with my finger? Just kind of pushing down there and pinching it, kind of coming up from the bottom and pinching. Get around here so I can show you here. That's a little hole there, so I'm going to kind of pinch that. If it was up a little higher, I wouldn't worry about it because we could use that for a vent hole there. The dough there seems a little thin, so I am going to add another little piece up there. Kind of like I showed you I did a while ago. Just kind of pinch it together there. Another little piece there that seemed a little thin too. All right, and then this time I'm going to take my knife and I am just going to come under hold it to the edge. Let me see if I can show you here. I'm not going to put it down. I'm going to put it like this under the edge and just kind of like at a little angle and then cut it. May have to take and hold down a little as you do it. kind of go around it. Kind of the same way, but you're not holding your knife down as far. You're under the edge a little bit more. All right, and then I'm just going to come through here and push it with my fingers first to make sure it's sealed. And any little stray edges, kind of tuck them in with it. Then I like to take my fork, put in some flour. Put flour close to me. Well, I just rolled, I think, the cinnamon off. And just kind of take the fork and press down here at the edge. And you could do, to make it a little nice little pinch up, pinch up, pinch up like that, and make it like a fluted edge. But I'm just doing it like this to make sure it's sealed good. Like there, it doesn't feel like it's sealing real good there, so I'm going to push it down some more. Get a little more flour here, let's see. May just be my fork is sticking there. Gonna go through and make sure there's not extra hanging out. All right. Now, I am going to take a cookie sheet. You want a cookie sheet because some of the juices may come out, and it'd be a lot easier to clean this cookie sheet up than to clean your stove up unless you have something down the bottom. Then we just want to put some little slits in it to let the steam out. Now, a picture I came up on my Facebook the other day when I'd made it for my husband. And I know I did other times, but last time I had I did I and a heart and the letter U. Just to put I love you on it. Okay. Then we are going to, let me turn you up. I am going to put this in the oven at 350 for about an hour. Oh, you're wonky there. Or actually, it's my camera that's wonky. So 350 for an hour, and I'll bring you back when it's finished. Just a moment, I forgot something. We are going to take a little bit of milk, not much, just a hair. And you don't have to do this step, but this will help it brown kind of pretty. And just brush you on a little bit of milk on it. And I should have done this kind of before I kind of crimped it. No, I'd usually do it after I crimp it, boy. I had to take a muscle relaxer, and because my back is bothering me, and so my mind's not working as it should be today. Just kind of spread that milk out there. You don't want to have any really standing. Don't want your milk standing. I don't know if it's that loud enough. I'm trying to talk louder because I had someone tell me they can't hear me real good. And it was probably when my head is down. And then sometimes I'm kind of saying things to myself too. All right, now it goes in the oven at 350 for an hour. Bring y'all back later. All right, here is the pie finished, and let me just tilt it a little so you can maybe see it a little better. And that is it. That's all you have to do. Let me turn you up here. So if you never made an apple pie, you can try it. If you don't want to have like the little bit of caramely taste to it, that's probably not really a word, that's okay. Then you can use white sugar instead of brown. That will work just as good. All right, y'all, listen to remember to always season your cooking with love. And if you wouldn't mind sharing and subscribing, I would love it. And hitting the like button. Y'all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.